My life hasn't been what you probably think it has. We all have our struggles.
Your time will come, Diana. And everything will be different.
You look like you saw a ghost.
Citizens of the world,
I'm here to change your life.
anything you want, anything you dream of, you can have it.
I don't want to be like anyone. I want to be an apex predator.
The way I fly, they will never find us.
I forgot to tell you.
What?
Radar.
Will they shoot at us?
I've never been one for rules. The answer is always more.
The world needs you.
You know what you need to do.
Nothing good is born from lies. And greatness is not what you think.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Rewind. I'm host Travis.
And this is Chris.
And we are here to discuss the anticipated, the hyped, the one thing that everybody was excited for the whole year.
Tamales!
That too. Wonder Woman 84.
Oh, wow. We're going back in time, huh?
Yeah, I wish you could go back in time and not see this movie.
I wish we could go back in time to December of last year when this movie was supposed to come out. It might have been better recepted then.
Let's get right into it.
The movie's over.
Yeah.
The credits are rolling. First thought that pops in your mind.
First thought was, what a disappointment overall.
Overall,
just a horrible disappointment. And about halfway through this movie, I was thinking, I can't believe this is from the same director from the first Wonder Woman movie. Let's get right into it. I know you said let's do good, baddie, ugly.
Okay, what are we starting with? The bad or the ugly?
Pick one. I'm just going to say the opening scene, not the opening scene. The opening scene was okay. This is more about the Themyscira and something as her as a child and doing a race. And that dragged on for quite a bit, but I let it go because you're seeing familiar faces from the first movie, and it kept the theme of who she is and everything. So I was like, okay, whatever. We're getting to the vibe of the movie. Okay, this is the character.
Building a foundation here.
Yeah. And then we cut to 1980s cheesy, almost montage comedy action scene in a mall. She's like doing flips and dips and kicking people. They're going flying out the air. It was just so over the top and so ridiculous. If I could say, it was a wasted opportunity to have this movie in the 80s and treat it like they treated it.
Ooh.
It's almost like X-Men Days of Future Past? No. Apocalypse. When they went to the movie theater, it was in the 80s. They went to the movie theater and they're all walking out. Oh, the third one's always the worst, blah, blah, and the critics are blah, blah, blah. It's like, because nobody talked like that, right? That whole sequence of that was horrible. Expand that out to the whole movie, and that's what we got in this one. It was a wasted opportunity.
Wow.
Wasted opportunity.
Credits are rolling. My first thought was, it's different.
Is different good or different bad?
It's different. I mean, the third act wasn't completely in the dark like most of the DC movies were. The villain wasn't something straight up from the beginning that you knew what it was. It was something that you had gradually had to pay attention to pick up clues to figure out what was going on. If there's a good part of the movie that I could think of, when you mentioned early building the foundation into Themyscira, those first 10 or 15 minutes were probably the most genuine storytelling of the entire movie.
Yeah.
If you would have given me something completely different, whether it was 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2020s, from the moment that point was made across that young little Wonder Woman couldn't cheat to be a hero, had to do everything in order the way it was supposed to be done. You have to earn heroism, not just take it from it by any means necessary.
Don't cheat.
Yeah, that was a hell of a foundation to start a movie with. My hopeful meter went up.
Okay.
And then as soon as we went into the 80s, I just was scratching my head at
The
lot
tone,
of
right?
what's going on.
A
lot of it.
Yeah. That's what threw me off more than anything. The tone. After that first scene in the mall, I was like, this is like 180, like opposite of what the last movie was and what the I don't want to say charm, but just what everybody was.
Ambiance, I guess.
Yeah, it was just the setting. Obviously, the 80s is totally different from World War I setting, right? But
the first movie, Wonder Woman, was a lot more toned down during the World War I stuff. She didn't want to be obvious that this is who I am, this is what I can do.
Yeah.
You know, the trench scene, as badass as it was, it's very low key for a superhero movie. She's not out there like Batman in the middle of the night beating the shit out of a dozen fuckers.
Right.
She's just walking through and deflecting things. She's always on the defensive instead of the offensive.
Right. Yeah.
So to watch her just like, woman power, I'm Wonder Woman, I can do everything. Look at this. Let me wink at the little girl so she knows that this is okay. And I just, whoa. She's not even like that in either the Justice League or BVS.
No.
And not as a negative. That was a great way to play her character that way. But I think since most of the fans that watched BVS and watched Justice League and said, "Oh, Gal Gadot was a highlight. She wasn't an anchor bringing this shit down." Where there was a lot of shit to be brought down. And then the first Wonder Woman, the performance was pretty good. She was all right. This was one of the better ones compared to whatever DC brought out. They took all that and like, all right, we're gonna turn it up to 12 and we're gonna see what we got. And that felt like that's what they did.
I'm trying to rationalize the reasoning behind the change in tone that's so drastic from the first one. And my guess is that either A, it's meant as a standalone story, or B, or maybe a combination of both. They are trying to maybe capture some of the upbeatness of Aquaman, because Aquaman had more humor and stuff in it, but it worked on certain levels. This came out as cheesy to me. Like, it didn't feel like, it wasn't really funny.
I'm not sure if that's a complete negative. There were parts of that movie where it felt like, and this is coming from a guy that recently watched the first two Superman movies with Christopher Reeve. This felt like they were doing a cover version of the first two Superman movies.
Yeah.
And there were parts that were kind of close to hitting, but there were a lot more misses than there were.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I kind of was expecting for all the plight that Wonder Woman was going through emotionally, bringing back her boyfriend from the fucking dead. I was expecting the Superman 3 part where fucking Clark Kent's at the bar getting drunk in Superman costume, all fucking depressed and shit. I don't think we ever got that Wonder Woman side where you really see her grudge between, can I finally be selfish and keep this dick, or should I just like go back and just suffer like I was supposed to suffer? And now that everybody else has that same option, should I be the one to take the first step so that everyone else can do it or whatever? It just, yeah.
So
give me a good. We spoke about the opening scene. That's off the table. That's already been established. Is there anything else that you like? Did you like Pedro Pascal as Max Lord?
He's all right, but even then, like, his performance was good, but that's not this. When I think of Maxwell Lord from the comics, that's not who I'm envisioning. Mm-hmm. It's just his.
You're not
character.
the first person to say that.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I've been actually staying away from a lot of reviews, but I have seen reviews online, and nothing I'm seeing is good from the reviews. But the villains in this movie, they aren't the most convincing. Like so Pedro Pascal, he's a villain, but he's granting everybody wishes, making their wishes come true.
But in return, he gets everything. He gets everything he wants.
Yeah. So and of course they mention it like it's the monkey's paw, right? It's like you don't know the price of your wish that you're.
It's Thanos' 7 stone, basically.
Sure.
It felt like this felt like an example of and it's been going on for decades. And whenever Marvel has an idea, DC tries to copy it in some weird way. DC has something, Marvel tries to copy it in some weird way. We just went through Endgame with 6 Infinity Stones. Now you're giving us another fucking rock. I was like, what? Just buy the company already. Just put everything in one umbrella so it all makes sense. That was weird for me.
Yeah, well, the whole concept was just,
and then personified the stone personified into Max. You know, it's
yeah.
The biggest drawback, and I'm not saying it as a negative, but again, this movie was supposed to come out December 30th of 2019. There was already stuff going on. There were delays. They had to push it back to like April, and then COVID-19 came, and they pushed it back again to what we have now in December.
I thought it was supposed to come out.
I left the theater. I saw Pedro Pascal on the screen. I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it to the point where, man, like before the last act of the movie, I was like, man, I just want to go home and watch Mandalorian again. In a nutshell, and that's not a negative. That's not a negative towards him. It's just he did that good. And that's what I see him as right now. He's
right.
My Mandalorian. If I see him in any other TV shows or stuff, that's the first thing I'm going to go back to.
But the material that he was presented
that they gave him to
was a lot better in Mandalorian.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This.
You see what he's working with.
Yeah.
But then again, you can't. It's hard to like when I say you can see what he's working with. Patty hit a home run with the first one. Yeah. And the stuff that character was given in Justice League and BVS, you would think you would have that same. You've earned that respect that you would be in this movie the same way, but for whatever reason, it didn't. There was a lot of parts that didn't click with me.
Yeah. Well, the only difference in this movie is Patty Jenkins also has writing credits for this movie too.
Yeah.
Not like
so does Zack Snyder's wife, Barbara. Was she a co-director or something?
Deborah Snyder.
Yeah, Deborah Snyder.
She's executive producer. Yeah. Like she does. Both her and Zack Snyder are executive producers on a lot of stuff together. But anyway, yeah, the Maxwell Lord stuff was okay. Just he made more of a convincing villain than Kristen Wiig as Cheetah or Barbara
Minerva.
Yeah, Minerva. I don't know. It was just the whole concept of I'm gonna wish for this and I'm gonna get it, and I don't know. That was the whole basis of the movie. Like that was the one thing I couldn't understand when I was watching the trailer was how does Steve come back, right? Mm-hmm. How does what's-her-face get the powers and everything else? And, so, yeah, she wishes for Steve to come back while touching this
she never spoke it, but she thought it. And the hero wind blows in the air whenever the wish is made, and that's how you know it's made.
Yeah.
And then in a couple of days, there he is. Some dude's body.
Did he, I was going to say, did he, quantum leap into...
I think so.
This poor guy,
because even it looks in the mirror and is addressing that. Yeah, this is. I don't remember any of this. I just woke up one day and there's cheese on demand. I live with fishes and I don't know what all this stuff is. Does everyone parachute with these fucking pants? Like, yeah. And then she wound up raping him.
Yeah, I think Kevin Smith. I think Kevin Smith said something about that. It's like did he?
It's okay when women do it, but we can't.
Right?
We can't. No, we can't.
Yeah.
No.
Did this vessel give consent? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Chris Pine was Chris Pine. I didn't think he gave a bad performance. I don't know if he gave a great performance.
It was a good follow up to his last. It's a Wonder Woman, the first one.
Yeah.
He was fine as Steve.
How the hell did he learn how to fly a F-111 aardvark?
Exactly. Yeah. Apparently, there's been no change in aviation.
Yeah.
In how many years? It was like 60 years or something like that. Yeah. So it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Thumbs up on the invisible jet.
No.
The origins. How she makes things invisible.
No, I did. Okay, that was like the one joke that I kind of just chuckled on was the invisible mug.
Yeah, I turned it invisible. I don't know where it went.
Yeah, he's like, what happened to it? I don't know. I can't find it. So that was funny.
And it made me wonder, how does Wonder Woman always know where the invisible jet is if she can't even find a goddamn coffee cup?
It's like one of those things where it's like they had to force that invisible jet into it. Yeah. I mean, I like how they said it's using the same magic that they use to hide the mascara from the world. So
kind of makes sense.
Yeah, if you're gonna go that route of it's
if that's the continuity in your movie verse that you're going with, it makes sense. Yeah,
I'll give it a pass for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of the humor was just falling on deaf ears for me. Like nothing was really that funny to me in this movie. I was falling asleep through this movie.
Well, let's sidebar real quick. For anybody that's at home, it's December 2020. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Well, we might still be in the beginning stage of the pandemic still. How did you watch this movie?
At home.
Reclined.
Yes.
On the app.
Yeah.
On
my big screen TV.
I actually went to the theater to see this.
Sucker.
I know, Friday morning. Which was also part of the problem. We've been doing this for a long time. We've been, in one way or another, with one franchise or another, we've been in this fandom for years, decades.
One of us more so than the other one.
Depending on what franchise. I go to the movies. If a movie comes out on Friday, hell no. I'm going Thursday night at midnight. I want to be the first one to watch it. Now in 2018, 1920, they're showing movies 1 or 2 days earlier than the advertised thing on the show. Because of FOMO. I want to have that feeling that, I was one of the first people that saw it.
I watched it before Travis did.
Yeah. Yeah. So So when Wonder Woman is now available for everyone in the morning you wake up without having to get out of the house, without having to go anywhere, without having to pay anything more than you already have. Everyone had the same access in the same moment to watch the movie. And that kind of took away the desire for me to watch it with everyone else. We had the conversation episode on earlier on the Mandalorian episode where if people talk too much about it or hype things too much, I kind of get distant. Mm-hmm. The fact that this was available for everyone at the same time, instead of having the ability to know that I was one of the, to me personally, selfishly, that I've been one of the first ones to watch it, I kind of didn't want to watch it.
God, you're so spiteful and petty.
Yeah, I'm Hispanic. It's part of what I am. But it just, if
And then you actually saw it, and then you got even more mad.
I tried to be optimistic and watch the movie, leaving behind the fact that I kind of wasn't like completely gung-ho about it on Friday when I saw it. And the end result was kind of like the same way. It's like, maybe I should have waited.
Yeah. It's funny. I was, like a month ago, we were both planning, and I asked my wife, I said, do you want to go watch it in the theater? She's like, yeah, sure. I was like, okay, fine. We'll get tickets and go watch it in the theater. And then, like, a few weeks later, WB made that announcement that, it's going to be available the same day.
No extra charge.
No extra charge.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, a few days later, they made that big announcement. Which
everything in 21.
Their big movies. We'll talk about that in another episode. Mm-hmm. But it's like, well, okay, when that announcement came, I was like, well, shit.
What's the point?
What's the point of...
You got a nice little AMC set up right here in the house.
Yeah.
There's no point in you getting up. This is what you made your house for.
Yeah.
Everything should be this way. So, everything comes to me or to you. So
right now it was like a 20% off. Get it for 6 months was it 6 months for like 20% off or something like that?
If you paid up front.
Yeah. So we paid up front. So we're covered for half the year, Mm-hmm. And so I watched it. It was available at 11 a.m. our time, so 12 o'clock Eastern time. Yeah, that's when it became available to stream. And it's fine. As far as streaming it went fine. There wasn't no buffering. No, it was in 4K, Dolby Atmos.
Nothing.
No
problem.
No hiccups. No nothing. So, which I was kind of concerned about that because I was like, okay.
Oh, everybody's gonna want to watch it at the same time.
Yeah. I didn't know if it was gonna overrun their servers or anything like that, but yeah, they
that was a hell of a test run.
Yeah.
That's one of your biggest franchises, and if you don't have any technical issues at once during that release, you're gung ho the rest of the way.
I think so. Yeah.
To their credit.
Yeah. Now, back to the movie. The I don't know if this. Good, bad, and ugly stuff, but I'll just talk about a few things,
Go for it.
Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. She's playing there's been no progression of the character, but if you enjoyed her in the past movies, you're getting more or less the same. And if you enjoy the franchises in general, from the comics or the cartoons or the live action, I would think that that's a good thing. Seeing Gal Gadot in the Wonder Woman outfit, using the tiara, boomerang thing, seeing the invisible jet,
using the lasso as a shield in the White House. That was a pretty cool scene for me.
Okay,
that might be in the minority.
Okay, we got to talk about the lasso because they took some serious liberties
Like Superman throwing his S at turning it into a net in part 1.
Yeah. Something like that.
No, turning time in part 1, using the S as a net in part 2. Something like that.
Okay. I get it that it's a lasso and it's rope, and it probably goes a little distance if you stretch it out, whatever.
Yeah.
But my God, this thing, what she was like whipping that thing, and it was going across damn town,
Yeah.
and hitting someone a mile away. It's like, how long is this fucking lasso?
It doesn't
that
look
she has?
long on her hip, does it?
No, it doesn't. She was doing the
Of course, if you're looking at her hips, that's the last thing you're noticing.
touche. And that's a good thing about this movie. Just Gal Gadot in the Wonder Woman costume.
Did you appreciate her going for full Goldar?
Oh, the costume, the Asteria armor. I mean, I appreciate it because it's from the comics. It's from Kingdom Come, that series, and I mean, it was comic accurate. So you know how I am about source material stuff. So I mean, it was played right, I think, for what they could have done with it. I like how they give it a little backstory. And then we got the reveal of who Asteria was or is, I guess. But I don't know. It was fine for what it was. I just I don't know. It was just, I don't want to say it was a letdown, but it was just it was what it was. It was just okay. There's the armor. I was more disappointed by that point. By the time we got to the armor, I was already deflated enough from this movie. And
It was already in chore status.
And I was, like I said, I was already like falling asleep. This is a long movie.
Your couch is very comfortable
and is boring as fuck. That movie, is boring.
And so I wanted to get the air of the room. Your wife is also, not to the certain extent, but she's also a comic fan or franchise fan. She watches.
She's a casual.
She's casual, but she'll watch it with you.
She'll watch the movies and TV shows.
If they're empowering women movies, get her attention. I'm sure she didn't complain about the first Wonder Woman.
No,
she pretty much.
We got the poster on the wall.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking, Travis, what you think of Wonder Woman? It stinks. All right, hey Nancy, what you think about Wonder Woman? It stinks. I'm like, what? I was not expecting that.
First of all, my wife does not sound like that.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah. But she did not like the movie.
She didn't like the movie either.
Yeah, and last time I checked, she was a woman.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of, I mean, you would think that's their fan base.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or children, girls, I guess, little girls. I don't know, but if you're trying to satisfy the comic book fans, I don't know how they succeed at it. I know, like I think I mentioned before, but Kevin Smith, of course, he loves everything, and he cried about this, and they brought the invisible jet. Oh, they got this, and they got this.
It's a great women endearing movie.
I don't know, man. It just fell flat for me. This whole movie, it just even
Cheetah go.
I didn't like the CGI.
Okay,
I'll say I need to go back and watch the trailer when they first showed her. Because it looked a little bit better this time in the movie. I don't know if they went back and touched it up. Hell, they had a year to fix it. But I remember watching the trailer, it looked like a reject from Cats. The live action Cats movie?
Yeah.
It looked like someone off of there. But, I mean, it looked fine, I guess. It didn't look horrible.
I don't know if if I was a fan of the traditional nerd loser to hero, loser to cool kind of story, Enigma from Batman.
It's been done.
It's been Catwoman from Batman Returns.
Poison Ivy from Batman and Robin. All these Batman villains.
Electro from the Amazing Spider-Man. It's been done.
Yeah.
And if that
Janie from Not Another Teen Movie.
Especially if it's not going to be your main villain, what's the point? And if that villain doesn't even survive the end of the movie, what's the point? Like, she renounced. She wanted to be like Diana Prince, and the
she wanted to be cool and sexy. That's what it originally was.
The Stone, but the Stone knew who Diana Prince really was.
Yeah.
So she got the Wonder Woman powers also, which I will say in the positive. That skin shedding moment, like a snake, where 1 minute she's in the like poofy dress and with the glasses, and then she like arranges her top and drops her skirt and has the leggings on and everything, and she walks out with a little bit of confidence. Everyone's looking at her like, "Hey, how you doing?" I was like, I can get behind this. This is starting to work slowly. It's starting to work. I can see where this is coming from. The Stone knew that Diana Prince was actually one of the women from the that was Wonder Woman, so she had the powers too. Didn't know it. Again, I ran out of coke.
The Stone knew that Diane Prince was that
woman. Yeah. So she had the powers and stuff. And then she renounced her wish. She goes, I don't want to be like anybody else anymore. So she gave up the wish so she could have another wish, which was, I want to be an apex predator. It's like, oh, so you want to be a pro wrestler that stuns women? I was like, okay, fine. So she winds up looking like Rita Repulsa's monsters, and she's all fucking Thundercat shit. And then she gave the whole thing up at the end too. Like, she went back to normal. Like, the last scene, she's in her little skirt and shit. So she doesn't even want to be Cheetah anymore. So like, they have a great history of killing off all their heels, you know?
All the villains.
Yeah, all the villains. You know, we can't be like Dragon Ball Z. You know, we kept Piccolo, we kept Vegeta, we kept Frieza, we kept Majin Buu. Nah, we're killing all you motherfuckers.
Well, that's nothing new in comic movies.
Yeah, that's true.
But you would think they would have learned their lesson after all these years and keep them alive for future reference.
As a casual, help me out here. Is Cheetah's Wonder Woman's main rival?
One of the main ones. Yeah.
One of the main ones? Okay.
Yeah.
Who else is
I would say she's like an A level.
She's A level
villain to her. Yeah.
Okay.
I would think she's probably her main villain.
I know Justice League Doom. That's the villain that they paired Wonder
They
Woman
in
with.
the animated series. Yeah, they would always kind of pair her up with Cheetah. Yeah,
Gotcha.
They did that more than a few times actually. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess if you're going off of the media side of things, like the movies and stuff, yeah, I guess that she would be her main.
So your main villain, poof, that's it, no more.
Yeah, as a side character, as a side villain, not even like the main antagonist of the movie. Maybe that's what this movie was missing. Maybe
something to focus your hatred around.
Yeah, if it wasn't,
the villain was greed. We can't all be greedy.
Yeah,
you know,
you can't cheat,
and you can't cheat. No. I like the fact that they tied. So I've already established that Wonder Woman is based off of like Greek gods. So like Ares was the heel in the first Wonder Woman movie. The god of lies, villain. The god of lies. It was written in Latin inside the ring.
The language of the gods.
Yeah, so she knew that this was a villain tied to her. I kind of was expecting that to be the main person Max Lord would turn into. Is the god of lies, that you would see this another one of those huge monsters that Wonder Woman would have to face off. It might have been redundant. I might have complained about that too, but I wouldn't have been as upset with that as I was with the lack of something focal actually that Wonder Woman has to overcome. I don't think Wonder Woman overcame anything in this movie other than her own emotions.
Her own greed.
Her
selfishness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
And if you're building up for a year and a half and the villain you're giving us is something we can't see, I was like, great, Galactus. Saw how that turned out, remember? Yeah. So
yeah, maybe that's what that was. The whole thing was missing was I didn't think about it like that because I didn't care enough to think about it that much. But yeah it was. Yeah, maybe if the God of Lies or whatever that wrote that inscription, maybe if that became personified.
My dumbass thought that shit was kryptonite when I first saw it in the movie. Which was another disappointment to me. And not that I should be disappointed about it that badly, because it's not an expectation that was thrust upon me. But hell, man, we've lived through 12 years of Marvel. You've already given us a Justice League. I was expecting something to tie into the future.
Yeah.
Linda Carter, love her to death. Was she necessary? Would you have rather wanted a peek of like Wonder Woman in the future speaking to like the whoever Bruce Wayne is in this new Batman thing that's coming out, or Wonder Woman meeting Shazam out of nowhere, or the kid Shazam? Oh my God, I've heard so much about you, or something that would tie into the bigger universe that you're already creating, instead of basically this was a one-off. This was the Joker. Yeah. Basically, this didn't felt like it fit into the straight and narrow highway of the DC extended theatrical universe that we're going for.
That's kind of another issue I have with this is this whole 84 thing was a safety net for Patty Jenkins. It was it's set in the 80s, so it's not present time, so we don't have to worry about tying in anything else. it'll be in the 80s and everything's like cool.
Everything's fun,
and
nostalgic.
Yeah.
You remember Walkmans and the mall? And
yeah.
the food court. And
Yeah. It's just,
breakdancing on cardboard. Remember breakdancing on cardboard? Now we just do it on concrete because we have health insurance. Yeah.
I think it was like halfway through this movie, and my wife like looked at me and she's like, "Where's the action? Like, when's something gonna happen?" Like, it was so long and just so boring. Like I said, I was like nodding off during like certain parts of this thing.
Part of it was its own fault. The trench scene in the first movie might be one of the few things that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
But goddamn, you compare that with anything in the DC movieverse, Batman versus Superman, Man of Steel, Justice League. One of the best moments in this entire storyverse was that trench scene with Wonder Woman. It stands out. It empowers women. It even gives men a sense of pride almost. Like, holy crap, she beat up all them dudes and she led this.
Mm-hmm.
That was monumental.
Mm-hmm.
That bar is so fucking high. You're not going to be able to clear it with some half-ass shit. So when you're telling me Wonder Woman wished for Trevor at the expense of her powers because she was willing to give up anything for it, and you're trying to replay that scene in the desert with all the moving vehicles, and then she loses grip of the lasso and she's getting shot, and you're seeing blood coming out of her, it just... That part, I think it fell a little flat for me. There were some tropes in like sequel movies that I don't like to see that are played out in every franchise almost.
Mm-hmm.
And Wonder Woman and 84 fell into that trap too of at least try something different. They followed tropes from other. It's like, is it second standalone movie too soon for her to already start losing her powers, or for her,
right?
You know,
and that was another thing. It was again about maybe. It was after that scene where she got shot. You see, I guess she got shot in the shoulder or whatever. But I was like, are they showing that she's losing her powers? Like, oh my God, are we really doing that? That's another trope.
Yeah.
In
We've seen it
movies.
in Spider-Man 2. We've seen it in fucking Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it
Superman 3.
Superman 3.
It happens. Like it's not a new thing.
Yeah.
And it's just this whole movie is like a walking cliche of superhero movies, and
which is most of the 80s in its defense.
Well,
the post-credit scene was literally 80s. It's like special guest in this episode, special guest
70s,
such and such.
70s
también.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to find something positive to say about this, but it seems like it has been shitting all over it, and I can't.
First 15 minutes was great. Chris Pine, for the most part, was good.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Pedro Pascal was entertaining to me.
At some points.
At some points.
Yeah.
The Ugly, I think this movie was at least 20 minutes too long. It needed editing.
It was anticlimactic. Like the whole world was like falling apart, right? And then it just he gave up for everything for his son or whatever.
I made this statement in a previous podcast, so it's only fair that I make the statement here. I liked, for example, in Days of Future Past, where they tied history to it, to where Magneto was trying to save the assassination of JFK, but he gets blamed for the assassination. I appreciated to an extent the little history lesson we got of this is why we got the oil shortage in the 80s because Max Lord did all this, and this is why we were almost entered into the Cold War again in the 80s overseas against Iraq and Saudi because all the greed started happening. But the way they executed the payoff was weird. Like the nukes came up out of nowhere,
right?
But the nukes didn't just disappear; they had to blow up. The wall didn't have to just disappear. It had to blow up. And then like the trench for the river the execution of some of these plot points really missed the mark.
And I thought everything was going to start disappearing because they showed on the radar or whatever that the little missile blip started like disappearing. I was like, okay, everything's just going to be reversed. But yeah, like you're saying, they showed one missile flying across and it was like,
yeah,
it got dusted. Everything got dusted. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Again, maybe this is a Marvel movie. Yeah. Yeah, this was
off.
This was Infinity War, just on a smaller DC scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of wiping out half of humanity, he's wiping out the oil industry. or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think the hype on it was just way too much. And for good reason. I mean, Warner Brothers, among every movie studio, needs every bit of publicity they can get right now.
Hopefully, this is a necessary evil. And I say that because as good as the storytelling was in the first Wonder Woman, and to a smaller extent, the relationship vibe between Trevor and Prince emotionally was pretty well told. It's good to have that conflict of, do I want to be satisfied emotionally, or do I want to be satisfied in another way, just to counter the balance? The relationship between those two, I thought, was a story well told. But I don't want that story to continue 3, 4, 5 movies, 2 Justice Leagues from now. And I don't want to say this in a negative or derogatory way. I'm glad they killed it. I don't want to hear about Steve anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Wonder Woman mope about him anymore. There's plenty of fish in the sea.
Which,
throw your net. Go casting.
Which, again, 60 years, and
Yeah.
you're still pining over, no pun intended, you're still pining over Chris Pine?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Really?
Yeah. Even Captain America moved on at some point.
Yeah.
He had Black Widow, and he had her fucking niece.
No, that was
Agent Carter's niece.
Yeah, Agent Carter's niece.
Yeah. He got it. He planted his seed around. Go get it, girl. Shit, look at you.
The difference.
She was dude. Some of those scenes, Gal Gadot was fucking ravishing. God damn. And you still hung up on one dick? Really? Dang. Let me at least show you some disappointment. Come over here.
I present to you Exhibit B.
As in, bitch, I need more than that. Yeah. But I feel like we needed this so that we can move past it. Kind of like Iron Man 3. We needed Iron Man 3 to just get past it. For the most part, it's just rubbish.
You can say the same for Iron Man 2.
There you go. Well, at least we got War Machine. And that was teased in part 1. So I think that's a little bit redeeming. But Iron Man 3 is like, ah.
And here's the thing. Like, I'm being very critical of this movie, but like, I guess to your average Wonder Woman fan, seeing the invisible jet,
it marked off a bunch of check marks.
I will say one good thing.
Go for it.
That I could think of, that I thought of at the last second. We got her understanding how to fly, to learn to fly. Like
through advice from Steve. And
yeah,
finally,
because he knows how to fly a jet.
Yeah. All these years later.
60 years later.
Where's the fuel button? Click. Oh, there he goes.
as they flew like 15 miles through fireworks.
Yeah.
Hey,
no, they made it from the U.S. to Cairo overnight. No pit stops. No fuel leakage. No piss break.
Let me ask. Did I miss something? Because in one scene they're flying over the fireworks as it's 4th of July, because she said it's 4th of July.
Yeah.
Blah blah.
And that was a cool visual too.
And then in the movie it's like Christmas time. Did I miss something?
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Or was it like the epilogue and that was like
time moved on?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Maybe that's what it is. I'll
give
him
that a pass.
I'll give it a pass. But when I was
We're
watching
not about to do homework and go through it again just to figure out what's really wrong. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
we'll leave it.
I just remember watching the movie live. I was
4th of July and now Christmas.
Like I thought they were just they're just flying over fireworks. Now
so is Wonder Woman officially considered a Christmas movie?
No. Now let me ask you this: they commandeered that jet.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do with the jet? Is that her invisible jet now? Did she steal it?
She had a badge. Apparently, she had access to it. Fuck it, there it's hers. Not to mention, with her history, she probably can't even find it.
Some random dude's walking down the street.
I'm an asshole. Fuck.
Some dude just walking down the street. Bonk. He's like, what the hell?
Imagine an airport parking it, and all of a sudden. See what the fuck.
Yeah, where do you park something like that?
On grass.
Where they did, but I mean, I don't know. It's just, I mean, I get, like I said, I would imagine that your true like Wonder Woman fans would appreciate some of the stuff in this movie more than I did. Like you got the Wonder Woman outfit, you got the lasso, you got her flying around, you got the invisible jet. It just, to me, it was just surrounded by so much shit that I just, it didn't matter to me.
30 minutes on the cutting room table would have helped a lot.
It would have. It really would have. And that goes to also say, like, what is the future of this franchise? What's the future of DC franchise? Like, we know the Zack Snyder cut's coming out in March.
Oh God, that's probably what we're waiting on. So
Yeah.
that whatever happens after that, they're retconning it. So like the Justice movie, the Justice League with Joss Whedon doesn't count.
Right.
This one's coming out with Snyder's counting, and then everything else after that.
But
is what's next.
I believe DC and Warner Brothers, I think they're just deciding to step away from a connected universe, and they're not gonna be tied down by other franchises. They're just gonna be doing their own thing, which is fine. You don't have to follow Marvel like that and have a connected universe. It was implied and assumed that that's how you would do it, and they tried it, and people just kind of shit on it before the finale of it, before Justice League was able to come out. And
But then after that, the first Wonder Woman was great. Aquaman was pretty good. Shazam, I thought, was great.
But check this out though. The first Wonder Woman movie is part of the Snyderverse, but it was a flashback movie.
Yeah.
So you get a pass. Again, a safety net.
But the bookends, you started and ended with Bruce Wayne.
But it didn't really matter though.
Yeah, you're right. That's true.
Suicide Squad is another thing. But then Aquaman, they mentioned things from Justice League, but it didn't really have any other appearances or cameos or anything like that. And then Shazam obviously had a somewhat a supposed cameo at the end of it. But
and that fed a little bit more. The kid had the batarang.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they knew that this Legion already existed, So
yeah. So I think if they move forward with another Wonder Woman movie, either shit or get off the pot, right? Either start doing your own thing, and make it, just don't worry about what else is going on in other DC movies, and just do a straight up in present day movie, not connected to anything else, or say fuck it and make sure that everything's connected and do it the proper way.
Or just go fucking balls out and do something completely random.
Like this movie?
I'm just talking out of my ass here because I know 1,000% it's not going to happen. But they could always merge franchises. Because next year another movie's coming out under the Warner Brother umbrella that's starting its new franchise, Mortal Kombat. And
stop! Just stop! just stop!
And if anybody that's been playing the games recently, there's Mortal Kombat characters in Injustice. There's Injustice characters in Mortal Kombat.
There's a video game called DC versus
Mortal Kombat. Yeah.
But no, it's not.
If we're doing a one off on the Joker, why not do a one off on that?
I like your enthusiasm, but no.
Too much enthusiasm.
Something like that.
Do you want another movie like this then?
I just, you know what? I don't mind it being set in the 80s and having a little bit of fun with it and everything, but I don't feel like it was taken earnestly. Like, I don't feel like they were taking it serious, and it was just let's set in the 80s so we can have everybody wear fanny packs and dress funny and have montages and blah blah blah. It was just, and we can have a fight scene in the mall because everybody did that in the 80s, right? I just felt like it was set in the 80s for the sake of being in the 80s.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's just,
so we're gonna go Dark Phoenix next, and we're gonna set the movie in the 90s. Yeah,
might as well.
Grunge rock.
Might as well.
Wonder Woman picks up a guitar and starts playing Alice in Chains. Try to see it once, my
And doesn't
way.
this go against what she said, in BVS was, she was, or I think in Justice League, I can't remember which one, but she was telling Bruce that she was trying to stay hidden, and she didn't want to, and she's supposed to be trying to stay hidden, but she's over here doing flips and everything.
But this movie was before Justice League, so is this why she's hidden?
I would hide my face after this movie too. Yes,
I could only wink so many times at little kids before they all start realizing.
Before they get creeped out.
I know, right? Mom, witch! She's a witch! Tie her to a stake, burn her. So we tried. This is our review of Wonder Woman. Not that we're sexist or hate women. You're obviously happily married. I'm happily single. But the movie itself was not. It had a hard hurdle to clear after the first Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
and to be honest, no matter how tempered expectations were or how radical expectations were, if you're comparing it to the first Wonder Woman, you weren't gonna get that.
No, and I made the mistake of not comparing it to, but I had a certain expectation based on how
Good
the first
faith.
movie played out
Yeah.
the first time.
And for me, the last couple of DC hits were pretty good to me. So I went in with a little more investment also.
Yeah, and I go back to that opening, that the mall scene. That tone was just so over the top, so goofy, so cheesy. I was like, what movie am I watching? And I think that
set the expectation for the rest of the movie.
and it just shut down right after that. I was like, I just can't get into this movie. And they tried. They stuck to stuff that would work for her franchise, like the Invisible Jet, the flying, and all this other stuff. And some of that stuff worked, and I can appreciate them including that in there. But for me, it's just too little, too late. I think I don't know. It just didn't work for me. What would you give this out of a? What do we want to do? 1 out of 10? What do we want to do this?
4? And I think I'm being generous.
4 out of 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say 4, maybe 5, maybe.
This, to me, I compare this to and not for different reasons, but I kind of see this like the first Captain Marvel. I saw it. I guess I'm glad I saw it. I don't see myself watching it again. I don't own it. I don't plan on owning it, either one. It's just there.
Okay, let's
there.
Let's do this.
It checked off boxes just like Captain Marvel did.
Better or worse than Birds of Prey?
Worse.
Worse than Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
Really?
I had a better connection with the Harley Quinn character and her smartassness and her plight than I did with Gal Gadot's straight and narrow superhero kind of facade that she was presenting in this franchise.
But the movie was shit. Okay, so you think it's worse than Birds of Prey?
Mm-hmm.
Is it better or worse than Suicide Squad?
Oh, I think it's in the middle. The first half of Suicide Squad's 2 different movies put together, welded together in the middle. The first half is Guardians of the Galaxy. The second half is Starship Troopers. So it's equal footing.
Fair enough. I'm trying to think. Those were the 2 bad examples of DC movies. I was trying to think if this was better or worse than. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably give it like I said, because I would say this, as much as I was kind of shitting on it, I would say it's way better than Birds of Prey, and yeah, I'd probably say it's saying against that versus Suicide Squad. Yeah, that is kind of tricky.
Because the first half's like whoop, and the second half's ooh.
Yeah, I would say maybe Suicide Squad is better than this one.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's a lot more helping Suicide Squad because that cast. For whatever,
you have more stuff to bounce off of.
Oh yeah,
That's true. That helps.
Harley
too.
Quinn, Will Smith.
You had the cameos of Batman and Flash and all this other stuff to kind of help.
And Jay Hernandez did good as El Diablo. I thought Boomerang was funny. But we're not doing the Suicide Squad review. We're doing Wonder Woman 84. We already did it, and it's already done.
Yeah. So that's our thoughts on Wonder Woman. What did you guys think about it? Did y'all enjoy it? Did you not like it? How'd you watch it? Did you watch it on in your home? Did you watch it in theater?
Do you plan to watch it either in your home or in the theater?
Yeah. Let us know. You can leave a comment below in the comments field, or you can reach out to us through our Facebook page. Let us know in the comment section. And you can also check out our other episodes anywhere you get your podcasts from. So,
are we done?
I think so.
Oh, thank God.
Until next time, always remember to pop your culture.